Okay, selamat pagi everybody. So this is our second webinar of the series. We will be doing a series of 8 webinars followed by a wrap up. So that will be that'll be coming up until the rest of the year. You'll probably have the last one sometime in December. So for this second one, we will be doing peatland management in Indonesia as part of the sustainable use of peatland and haze mitigation in ASEAN program, funded by SUPA. So maybe we move to the next slide for now. Okay, so as we are honored today to have a welcome address by Mr. Muhammad Febri, Program Manager for Climate Change as part of the EU delegation to Indonesia, Brunei Darussalam, and ASEAN in Jakarta. So let's get prepared to hear from Mr. Muammar. I pass over the time to Febri. If you're here, feel free to take over.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Joe. So I hope everyone is in a good health today. So we're very happy to be here today on behalf of the EU missions to ASEAN. On behalf of my ambassador, I would like to welcome to all the participants, and we are very pleased to be presented at the first and the second day, and also today on the webinar. We are, as the major funders of the programs, is very happy to see that the program is finally started. And despite the fact that the COVID situation has impacted the program delivery, but we've seen real tangible result is being undertaken. And then this webinar is actually is a good start for everyone to see that the program is now up and running. And then in terms of knowledge management, in terms of promotion of good practices, this webinar is, we see it as a good practices, and also as a way and as a means of promoting knowledge exchange between partners, between countries that are involved in the peatland management programs. And then on behalf of the EU, we've seen that this is a good start, and we wish to extend congratulations to the people for Peat coalition to keep up the good work. Just to start a little bit brief from our side is that this project is designed in 2016. Total allocation of the whole program is about 24 million euros, split into 2 components. One component is implemented by the GIZ. We call it peatland governance. Approximately about 17.6 million allocated for peatland governance, and around 4.5 million is allocated for the non-state actors component. Today we are here for the Indonesian webinar. Indonesia has always been very close to our hearts at the EU, and for various reasons. We noted that there's been a lot of progress has been made by Indonesia in terms of sustainable peatland management, the establishment of the peatland restoration agencies, and many more. And then the non-state actor component, the way we see it, will play a very crucial element in promoting the sustainable peatland management, but also in enhancing monitoring and also capacitating the non-state actor or civil community-based organization at field level. As we all know, the land and forest fires in 2015 caused some massive destructions in Indonesia. About 1.7 million hectares land were burned in Sumatra, Kalimantan, and Papua. This is one of the worst incidents since 1997. So the fires that burned throughout 2015 is considered as one of the biggest ecological disasters in the world. By end of September 2019, we also noted that another forest fires also took place. About 857,000 hectares has been burned, which is more than 529,000 hectares that was burned in 2018. So this is based on the data we get from the Indonesian government website. So the fire has consumed most land since 2015 that was affected by 2015 fire. So there is a lessons that we can gather in here in terms of the perennial of the issues of the peatland fires. The EU, we wish to extend our support to the civil societies in here. And we believe civil society plays a crucial role in combating forest fires. And then we see that there is strong ASEAN commitment under the ASEAN Program of Sustainable Management of Peatland, which was endorsed and welcomed by all of the ASEAN leaders at the 24th ASEAN Summit. So we've seen a real tangible effort are being developed by and also being pursued by the ASEAN government. So this program, the SUPA program, objectively is also contributes to overall EU commitment to address the global environmental issues, in particular to support the mitigation of carbon emissions from carbon-rich peatland. And in addition, it also supports the conservation of the unique peatland ecosystem biodiversity, which hosts highly endangered flora and fauna. Take for instance, in the western tip of Indonesia, in Singkil area in Aceh, the population of the orangutan is one of the highest in terms of the densities population. So you can really see the biodiversity densities that are hosted by this peatland. So the overall objective of the SUPA is to promote sustainable management of peatland through collective action. So the angle is collective action, and we are very happy to have 3 partners, which being called People for Peat coalitions, embarking in this journey together with us. And we believe that this collaboration is very sustainable, very good as a start. And then we wish also to see this collaboration will support the efforts in reducing the risk of forest fires and also support the local livelihood and contribute to the overall environmental management. I would like to stress few things in here that the non-state actor in doing direction should adopt a balanced approach in implementation or supporting the government-led national action plan for peatland. Such balanced approach should both target the degraded peatland through rehabilitation and restoration, and also focusing on pristine peatland through protection and conservation. Beyond that, we would also like to underline that the role of monitoring of the non-state actors should also be enhanced to increase the monitoring and surveillance or to improve accountability and transparency in peatland management sectors. So again, we would like to stress in here the EU and EU member state. We have a long experience on management of peatland and we have learned from the good case and also from the worst case. So we understood that the loss of environmental surface costs more than the it's actually is loss compared to the short-term financial and benefit earned. One case we would like to highlight in here, like for instance, in northern Germany, about 10% of peat that was initially drained were restored, and economically, it has avoided damage amounting to 22 million euro annually from CO2 emissions. So secondly, that we would like to see as well from this program is that through this coalition, we hope that this non-state actor will be able to push the narrative on investment on sustainable production in peatland. This is critical because unless we find a good business model that can promote a sustainable peatland income generating activities that are linked to the market-based approach, whatever we do in peatland will not gain any traction. So sound investment scheme with proper environment social value embedded is the key to achieve sustainable peatland management in the futures. More needs to be done as well to tackle the root cause of peatland and forest fire, but we strongly believe Indonesia and Indonesian civil society are moving towards the correct direction. And we do hope the non-state actors, as the actor at the forefront, will continue its steadfast role in monitoring, be that the private sector, be that public sectors, or be that the community on their commitment and compliance towards sustainable practice so that we can put an end to this vicious cycle of transboundary haze pollutions. We also encourage the EU, we are the civil society, we always see civil society and non-state actor as equal partners, yeah? So we wish to see that the non-state actors in this part of the world also to ensure better and targeted monitoring or watchdog role in monitoring any development in peatland areas that needs to be monitored closely. Take for instance, the recent narrative of developing the Kalimantan food estate. I mean, I think civil society should play a very crucial role in here to monitor in progress to prevent the unwanted necessary of the opening of the draining of the peatland areas once it's open. So we want to stress that the Indonesia, because the program is being implemented by by organization based in Malaysia as well, and Indonesia. We want to stress the importance that the civil society and non-state actors to keep an open eye on the above mentioned risks and work with the local community to mitigate the adverse impact both on livelihood and well-being of the society. This is very important. So it will be a long journey to ensure sustainable peatland management practice in mainstream at all levels. We believe you are the start, and we are very happy to see that the EU is finally able to provide real tangible support and concrete action at the field level. And despite the fact that we will only generate a small solution in a short, medium term, but I think we believe they will be a good start for long-term engagement with the non-state actors in terms of peatland and sustainable livelihood initiatives. Thank you very much. On behalf of the EU mission to ASEAN, we wish you a good webinar today, and we do hope that this will be fruitful and the exchange of information will be very useful, and it will be disseminated at the widest level. Thank you very much. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you for your address, February. I think that was excellent. We appreciate the contributions of EU to the region. And yeah, we really hope to live up to what you were saying earlier about NSAs playing the role at the forefront. So I forgot to introduce myself. I am Lee Jo Kian. I'm the lead analyst for People for Peat, and which consists of 3 organizations as mentioned earlier. I personally am from TRCRC, Tropical Rainforest Conservation and Research Center, and we're based in Malaysia. So can I have the next slide, please? So let me just run through the agenda briefly. We'll be having we've just had our welcome address by February. Now the next will be an introduction that I will be giving for People for Peat, followed by session 1 by Wetlands International Indonesia, which will be about challenges in implementing integrated peatland restoration in Indonesia. Session 2 will also be about challenges and practices on peat restoration through community involvement. This will be by Asia Pulp Paper, a private sector company. In session 3, we have Why Hutan Desa Parangtika is committed to protecting peat by Bentang Kalimantan. The sessions will be moderated by Fitrian from Yayasan IDH, and then we will close with closing remarks from Yayasan IDH as well. So let's go to the next slide. So as mentioned by February earlier in his address, People for Peat is made up of 3 members, 3 different organizations, 2 from Indonesia, World Resources Institute from Indonesia, Yayasan Inisiatif Dagang Hijau also from Indonesia. So I think they need no introduction because they are quite well known in Indonesia. WRI being the independent research organization turning big ideas into action at the nexus of environment, economic opportunity, and human well-being. IDH Indonesia being the conveners that they are, brings governments, companies, CSOs, and financiers together in action-driven coalitions. They orchestrate powers of law, of entrepreneurship, and investments to work together to create solutions for global sustainability issues at scale. TRCRC, we are from Malaysia, and our mission is to conserve tropical rainforest plant species and lead landscape-wide protection and reforestation projects throughout the country. And now we have gone beyond Malaysia. Let's see the next slide. So for many who aren't familiar, why do we focus on peatlands? February has mentioned some of this in his opening address as well. For the small area that Southeast Asia covers, we are home to 56% of the world's tropical peatland, which is about 24 million hectares in total. So some of the critical functions of peatlands are mentioned here, and these are the reasons why we focus on peatlands. First of all, they are the world's largest terrestrial carbon stores. And when we drain and burn peatlands, they turn from carbon stores into carbon emitters that directly contribute to climate change and global warming. So it's important for us to protect them to make sure that the carbon stays in the ground and not get liberated into the atmosphere. Peatlands are also critical ecosystems for biodiversity, and they regulate water sources to prevent floods and droughts. As a result, let's look down. Transboundary haze in the ASEAN region is an annual occurrence contributing to the climate crisis. I think if we live in the region, we have enough experience every year with transboundary haze to know that we don't want any more of it. We want it to stop. And so People for Peat, I'm not saying that we're here and we're going to stop it in the 3 years that our project is active, but we want to get it started. We want to get NSAs together, non-state actors together to really collaborate, to really look into what can be done to create success stories that will be able to be brought forward and replicated in different parts where this matters most. So let's look at the next slide. So this slide breaks down the total peatland areas within ASEAN. And as you can see, today we're focusing on Indonesia, and there's a large proportion of it located within Indonesia. I have to also mention that this project, People for Peat for now, will not be focusing on Singapore and Brunei Darussalam for the component 2 work they were doing. Next slide, please. Some quick facts. It isn't just an environmental ideal to protect peat swamps. It is expensive when peat swamps are degraded and get set on fire and when haze occurs. In 2015, the peat fires in Indonesia alone cost an estimated $16.1 billion with a B. And about 77% of carbon in tropical peatlands is stored in Southeast Asia. 10% of global fossil fuel carbon emissions comes from burnt peatlands. And 42% of all soil carbon is stored in peat, which is only 3% of Earth's land area. And I have to add that 3% of Earth's land area that contains all that carbon is two times more than all the carbon contained in the rest of the forest in the world. And that's about 10 times the area of the peatlands that there is, 30%. So that's a lot. Let's go to the next slide. So let's start with the challenges in managing peatlands in Southeast Asia. First of all, there is a lack of reliable data and information. So it's difficult for people to take action when there's not enough information available. The second challenge here is there are limited options for sustainable business solutions and also limited access to funding in peatland areas. The third will be lack of awareness and capacity, which I think we are all quite familiar with. Let's go to the next slide. So People for Peat we were established with these 3 challenges in mind, and therefore in response we have 3 pillars that addresses each of the 3 main challenges listed earlier. So for the first problem or challenge about data and information or a lack of it, some of the main activities we will be doing or have done actually will be focus group discussions and gaps research. The gaps research actually includes what we are actually done through our conference of parties that we'll be doing for each country. So then success in this will look like an information-based consensus, and which will result in policy briefs and best management practices that can be put into practice. For Pillar 2, business and investment, there are many businesses that are already on peatlands currently, but not many of them are run sustainably. So there are parties that want to make that switch from unsustainable practices to more sustainable practices for many practical reasons, whether it's an environmental ideal or simply because fires are costing them too much. So Pillar 2 actually has seed funds that will help such businesses that aspire to become more sustainable by improving their business models through a business hub program. So we will be launching this in the next few months actually to have our first business hub program, which will involve non-state actors that have projects on peatlands to go through a 6 month to a year program of business acceleration. So success in this department or this pillar will be increased investments in peatland businesses, improve livelihoods for communities and peatlands, and a change in the perception of value in peat. So we want to catalyze investments for businesses in peatlands so that they have access to finance so that they can change their business models to be more sustainable. really putting this into practice so that it's no longer just an ideal that we hope for, but something that other players can look at and see that it is possible, and it has been done with a little help from players such as People for Peat. So for the third pillar, outreach and advocacy, we want to develop in each of the countries we are working in a locally driven narrative that is coming from the country itself. We do not want to enter a country and prescribe what should be done, prescribe exactly what's right and wrong, how it should be used, how peat should be treated. But we want to know what's the background of how peatlands are being used, how peatlands are treated and perceived in society before we even try to change people's perceptions. So that we will be doing through the help of our country coordinators, which we are in the midst of hiring for 6 of the countries that we're working in. Malaysia and Indonesia will not require a country coordinator because we are already based there. So we will be developing these narratives and having engagement events that will hopefully get more non-state actors and communities involved in peatland work for sustainability. So success will look like an increase in peatland importance, more visibility for peatlands to the general public, and also improve sustainability in peatland practices and how people treat peatlands, and just better conservation practices in general for peatlands. Next slide, please. This is a non-exhaustive list of non-state actors, stakeholders. Can include village level communities, unions of farmers and smallholders, universities and research centers, CSOs, private sector or supply chain companies, banks and financial institutions, very important. So basically, if you're not a state actor, you're not part of government or a government agency, you are a non-state actor. Next, please. Today's webinar is about peatlands in Indonesia. So here's a map of peat distribution in Indonesia. About 50% of peatland area in Indonesia has been degraded. Some say 60%, it depends where your sources are. And you can see that there are 3 main areas where the majority of peat is distributed here in Sumatra, Kalimantan, and also Papua. So I mentioned earlier about how peatlands are very useful in regulating the water, both in terms of rainfall and also drought and floods. So its hydrological value, it helps, it is a home to a lot of threatened biodiversity, and it's also very important to global climate control. So it's important for us to make sure that places where peatlands are being cultivated, they are being cultivated sustainably, to make sure we try to avert any more losses in those departments. So the threats against peatlands right now, can we go back first, please? Burning and drainage of peatlands and overexploitation of peatland natural resources, and also illegal logging. Okay, so let's go to that next slide, and I'll let my host play this video. Thank you. Yes, please like, share, and follow our social media. So I'm going to introduce our moderator for the webinar session today. And this is Mr. Fitrian Ardiansyah, who will be moderating. He's the executive chairman for Yayasan IDH. I think he is very well known amongst the people in our participant list today. So I will pass this time to him. So Fitrian, take over.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for the beautiful introductions and also the movie, which I really like so much. Again, good morning, everyone. I think I can still say morning, especially here in Jakarta, not necessarily in Malaysia. It's already lunchtime in Malaysia, I think. It's so timely that we are discussing this sustainable use of peatland and how to address haze as well as part of the coalition of people for peat. And like Mr. February as well as Joe have mentioned that the roles and contributions of the non-state actors are crucial. I think because plenty of different actors are managing the lands that are considered having deep peat and also different type of peat. And we are lucky today that we are joined by three important panelists, distinguished panelists. And I can also consider themselves as my good friends. Pak Nyoman from Wetlands International, he's the director for Indonesia. He has tremendous experience when it comes to peatland and how to manage and provide good models in terms of the management of peatland in Indonesia. I think he would provide a very good overall picture when it comes to managing sustainably peatland and peat ecosystem, not only in Indonesia, but also across Southeast Asia. I would invite Pak Nyoman after this, but before I give the floor to Pak Nyoman, there will be two other panelists. The only lady in the panelists, my good friend Ibu Elin Sritabang. She's the director for APP, Asia Pulp Paper. It is so crucial to have the perspective of the private sector, especially those who have good models and experience in terms of overcoming challenges, but also advancing practices on peat restoration, peat management, when also involving communities in the surrounding area. Last but not least, another good friend, Denny Nurbiansa from West Kalimantan. He is the director of Bentang Kalimantan. He's going to talk about the village forest model and why, for instance, community-based peat forests are contributing significantly toward this peat management. Without further ado, I would give the floor to Pak Nyoman. I think each individual panelist will be given 10 minutes. And after that, we can open it up with the question and answer. You can share or send your question and answer to the chat. And I think we can select the best of you of the questions and give the floor for the panelists to answer that. Pak Nyoman, the floor is yours, please.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Fitrian. Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, should I share from my screen the PowerPoint?
No, Pak Nyoman, I've got it for you. Just let me know when you want me to go to the next slide.
Okay. So please show me the first slide and also the second. Okay, this is my presentation. The topic will be about the challenges in implementing integrated peatland restoration in Indonesia. So next, please. So before I talk about the challenges, I would like to brief you regarding the basic principles regarding the peat swamp forest. That is a very well-known terms in the past, but how long it will stay, we don't know. Yeah, because if you look at the pictures here, so peat swamp and then forest that indicate the peat material, the swamp indicate the water, and then the forest indicate the hutan in bahasa Indonesia. So in the past, it was not very easy to recognize if the area is actually a peat swamp forest, because from the above, you can easily see it's only a forest, yeah, a very thick forest. But since the forest is already logged over, yeah, and then you can see the rawa, the water underneath, and also the peat. So now we call it a peat swamp. So what happened if the peat also gone? Forest already gone, maybe already replaced with oil palm or the acacia. So, but what if the peat also gone? I mean, the huge amount of carbon will be disrupted. So it will remain only water or swamp. So this swamp, in terms of Indonesia condition, it can be a brackish swamp because it's affected by the seawater, or it can also be affected by fresh water. So the pictures and the corner, the bottom right corner, I can show you actually what is the major issues in our peat swamp area. It is mainly due to the drainage. So maybe I can inform you roughly in every hectare of our peatland, which is already converted into oil palm or acacia or whatever, yeah. So I would say the range of length of the canals, it is between 120 until 700 meter per hectare. So you just can simply multiply. Let's say 5 million hectares already converted, or maybe more. So you can estimate how millions of kilometers of canals already constructed in our peatland. So this is quite a huge number. Next, please. So this is again to give you an illustration as a background why it's too complicated regarding the peatland. Because when it is in the intact stage, I would say the peat has a dome, and then the dome stores huge amount of water. And even in Indonesia, I would say that most of the fresh water, it is not stored in the river or in the lakes, but it is in the peatland. Yeah. 2 days ago, I was invited by LIPI, the Indonesian Science Institute, to talk about peatland, especially from the freshwater storage point of view. It was very interesting because this one day when the peat is gone, so the issues of water body should be also researched or explored further by the Limnological Institute, which is under the LIPI. Yeah? So next, please. Okay, this is the complexity of peatland. So I can tell you here, the major root causes of the peatland degradation because of the drainage causing subsidence causing depression. Yeah, it will create a kind of basin, and then subsidence also create dry peat and then burned. Yeah, so and then greenhouse gas emission. So again, I can illustrate you here. Actually, peatland is a lake ecosystem, a lake which is not yet refueled because currently being accumulated with the organic matter. But once the organic matter is gone, because of the fire, because of the oxidation, the water will be dominant. So that's why peat, swamp, forest. Peat gone, forest gone, what left? Water. So this is how it looks like. This is the real situation happening in Berbak National Park. So we visited, we did a lot of kind of activities together with the community in Berbak National Park some years ago. Next, please. So I talk about the PHU or KHG, Kesatuan Hidrologi Gambut, or the Peatland Hydrological Unit, because this is also the major constraints, because I've identified from the 865 Peatland Hydrological Unit, which is already mapped by the Ministry of the Environment and Forestry, I identified quite many of them has a cross boundary with the districts and even with the provincial level. So what does it mean? The complexity in managing the peatland, it is getting more complex. I mean, if the Peatland Hydrological Unit has a kind of cross boundaries with the other districts, because each district might be, they have their own priority in dealing with the peatland restoration. Next, please. So my title, because I was given, I was asked to present it about the combination of the fishery, polyculture development, and how to inform the community. So again, I can tell you here, this is what currently we are working in North Sumatra, Tapanuli, a mini project funded by the EU DEFCO. So thank you, Pak Febri. But I can tell you what happened yesterday. Wow, it's very scary. Fire already started in South Tapanuli. Yeah? So what actually happening with the drainage canal, there's so many, yeah, even in the, mainly within the concession of the oil palm. The community land, normally they don't have much canals constructed because they don't have money to build the canals, but in the concession areas, in the oil palm, there are so many of these canals. Yeah? So then what happened? So once the canal, I mean, the peatland is drained through the canals, yeah. So, I mean, again, the peat will dry, and then peat fire, and then greenhouse gas emission, and then subsidence, and then flooding. So the question is, what can we do with the land subsidence happening in the peatland? Yeah. So currently, our SPO already look at into the issues of undrainability issues under one of the principle. I mean, those companies who would like to do the new planting procedures of the oil palm, so they have to look at the issues of the subsidence. Yeah, but from the inland fishery and paludiculture point of view, of course, once the peat is already gone and also the forest gone, so the water can be used as a media for the aquaculture. But don't forget, if the water is too dominant, yeah, so the area already inundated and hardly to apply the paludiculture. You know why? Because if the water is already there, hardly that you can start planting the seedlings, yeah, because the area will be inundated quite permanently, yeah, in the huge area and also for the long time. So next, please. So this is the general challenges implementing integrated peatland restoration in Indonesia. Number one, again, the peatland hydrological unit is very broad and has boundaries across districts and provinces. There are various kinds of activities within the peatland hydrological unit. Yeah, I mentioned also yesterday this with regard to the Kerumutan area in Riau. One side there is a conservation area, which is peatland, which stores huge amount of water, but just about in the boundary of the Kerumutan Wildlife Reserve, there are APP, the oil palm company, the HTI of RPP, and also the committee. So then, if there are so many activities located in one peatland hydrological unit, so then the responsibility to manage the peatland, it is not only belong to the one company or two, it should be all of the stakeholders who play roles in the same peatland hydrological unit. We cannot simply restore one small part of peatland within the landscape or within the KHG, yeah, because it affected one activities to the others. Yeah. The third point, the level of peatland damage is already severe. So I can tell you there are areas already burning repeatedly, yeah, and even submerged during the rainy season for quite a long time ago. Yeah. The fourth build here, the perception of the business actors involved in the peatland hydrological unit is not the same. Yeah, climate change. So I don't know, might be the variability. Yeah, because we cannot predict the rainy seasons. Yeah, easily. So sometimes people in the village or in the peatland area, they simply burn the peat, like what happened yesterday in Tapanuli Selatan. It started with a small fire in the community land. And this morning, I heard the information that the fire getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, and also the geographic position. Most of our peatland located not far from the sea. It is in the coastal lowland area and very susceptible to tidal flood. So what does it mean? If we would like to restore this kind of particular ecosystem, so we need to consider a lot of things, yeah, and also the flooding effects. And then too many canal networks already I mentioned, yeah, and then the policy compliances. Inconsistency. So this is also we can actually explore further because in Indonesia we have the peatland policy issued in 14, yeah. But at the other side, for example, RSPO cited the regulation from the Ministry of Agriculture instead of the Ministry of Forestry. So this is still in harmony of the peatland regulation in our country. Yeah. So land conflicts, land grab tenureship, and then also I don't want to talk very much about this, yeah, because it is already very clear in the field. There are land conflict between the committee and also the private sector. Next, please.
Pak Nyoman, you got around 3 minutes, Pak. If
yeah. So
in
general, I can tell you about the challenges in implementing peatland rewetting, yeah, blocking of canals in Indonesia. So the function of the peat ecosystem is different. We classify into two, protected or cultivated. Yeah. So if we are referring to this kind of different categories, so then the implementing of rewetting will be different. For those peatland located in the protected area, so we have to block, to completely landfill. But in the area which is cultivated, we have to maintain the groundwater. So etc. So next, please. That's just an example, yeah. Next, please. I will talk about the technology. currently there are at least there are two different technology being applied in the peatland rewetting. One is the using box dam, and the other one is using the compacted peat dam. But of course, those two of the technologies has advantages and disadvantages. Next, please. Okay, the other one, that the blocking of canals, raising the groundwater, actually can be used to also to create another livelihood. In this situation, actually, we can use the block canal to trap fish, so that it will improve the livelihood of the local community. Next, please. Okay, this is the impact of blocking canal. If we really would like to rewet the peat, this is how it looks like. But the question is, will the community or the private sector would accept this kind of situation in their concession or in their land? Next, please. So this is challenges in implementing polyculture, as I mentioned earlier. So once the area already inundated with water permanently in the huge areas, and then it will be very difficult to apply a polyculture. So what else then? Maybe aquaculture. Yeah, this is need to be considered, because the area will be very dry and then the water table can be dropped very much. But during the rainy season, the water table can be go up and inundated the seedlings. Next, please. Yeah, this is an example of how we implement the polyculture. Next, please. Yeah, so we learn from the Ex-Mega Rice project. If we cultivate the area with the polyculture species, we have to consider also the area, because there are some area already dominated by termites, and termites might eat also the seedling, and some area already inundated very severely. Next, please. Yeah. Oh, so now this is aquaculture. This is the last one. Yeah. So I will talk about this kind of situation in our project sites in Tapanuli Selatan. It is very interesting. Yeah. But the problem, before we started actually the aquaculture in the canal that we block, we have to actually consult the local community and also identify the market, if the market is there. Because local people might not think that fish has a good values in the market, because they have it in the market. There are many kind of competitors from the local community that they did the aquaculture in the mineral soils, not in the peatland. So there is the main issues, the competition, and the second issue is regarding the water. Because in the water in the canal that we block might not necessarily available whole time during the dry season. Water might gone. So then the concept of aquaculture must consider also the fluctuation of the groundwater table in the peatland. So this is not really easy. It's a big challenge. Next, please. Yeah, this is different type of species. Next. Yeah, the last one. Just take the last slide. The second last. Okay, next, please. Yeah. Next, because time is quite limited. Okay. The success of peatland restoration can only be achieved if community and government, and I say also the private sector, commitments continue, even though the project has ended. Because most of the peatland project, I would say, after the project finished, yeah, and nothing happened. Yeah, and its degradation is going on. Yeah, so the second point here, successful restoration sites should not be converted or should be allocated as a protected areas, because there are many areas which is already restored and at the end converted to something else. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Pak Nyoman. I think many questions will be raised and asked toward you. Some key points that I took as note, as you already mentioned, the challenge for peatland management, if it's already drained, it's kind of difficult or challenging to manage it for sustainability, especially if it has already been affected by fires or flooded. What can we do? You mentioned that, and when we talk about peatland management or ecosystem, mostly the KHJ or the peatland hydrological unit, it's at the landscape level, while management or concessions or management authority mostly is like parts and parcel. So I think it would be good to have the discussions and questions raised and submitted to you as well after this. But to answer or to respond to the challenges that you raised, I would invite Ibu Elim. Ibu Elim Slitaba from APP, Asia Pulp Paper, one of my good friends, and she has tremendous good experience in her concession, but also working together with communities. Ibu Ellen, in 10 minutes, please, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Fitrian. So, good morning, everyone. So today I would like to share what APP has been done related to the peat restoration and how we involve community. Next slide, please. Next. So I started with the slide to explain when we start to developing best practice management on peat. Maybe some of you who joined discussion yesterday already aware, but I will explain because of a lot of new participants today. So in 2013, when we made our commitment, so we engaged as a consultant to help us to develop how we should start to develop this best practice management. So of course, in the first place, we immediately stopped to do moratorium for new development in Peatland. So the second, how we can get reliable information to identify the area for peatland within our supplier's concession. So we did LiDAR data coverage, about 4.5 million hectares coverage using LiDAR to get information, and then of course analyzed by the expert. And then immediately in 2015, we retired about 7,000 hectares into landscape. But after the 100% data analysis completed, from the expert or the scientists identified there are 6 landscape or peat domes, critical peat domes in Sumatra left, and we need to focus on these 6 landscape. Next slide, please. So next slide. So these 2 areas in Riau and South Sumatra, in Kerumutan landscape and Sembilang landscape in South Sumatra. So in these 2 landscape, basically there are 2 different characteristics, even same peatland. But in Kerumutan, when after we retired the area to make sure that Kerumutan Suaka Marga Satwa keep intact, so we directly do rewetting, develop canal blocking, and until now in that area, I think 100% already rewetting. And before, after 1.5 years, some natural vegetation came out, but I think some of the trees falling down again. I think like Pak Nyoman explained, when the flooding, the water level already in the zero, in the ground surface, some of the seedling may not have a potentially to live, but only natural grass. And also the challenges there, after the rewetting, we have a quite difficulty to have access on the directly there because it's quite far from the villages. So, but in terms of peatland landscape, I can say already conserved and keep protected until now. Different in the Sembilang National Park. In that area, some of the natural species we can see coming out, and then we continue with some scientists and researchers to do research on how we can find the methodology of peat restoration, so we can also implement in other landscape or critical peat dome when we have to restore in some part of the peat. So next slide. How we can, specific in the Sembilang National Park, because of in that landscape, a lot of community. Can you go to the next slide? So we together with IDS, we also involve based on the collaboration with the some research agency under Minister of Environment, and also UGM, because of we already had collaboration before. So through this collaboration, we also engage local CSO to help community on how they can assist community to develop nursery to nursery focus on the natural species. So for and APP agreed, and for the next for the long term, after they produce the seedling, we will buy for to do the restoration within the landscape in the South Sumatra, especially in the Muba area. So the local CSO Gecinde, this is the photograph is the progress of the nursery itself. We together with P3 Sekpi, we developed the infrastructure and the capacity building for the seedling. We will involve also international scientists to help to provide capacity for the community on how they can produce good quality in terms of seedling. Next. I will show you, this is one of the landscape in Sembilang, what APP has been done intervention, because of within the landscape, we know that we retired in the left one, the one that together with Gecinde and IDS, but if we see the bigger landscape, we also, through Belantara Foundation, we do some intervention in Sungsang village, because of we identify this Sungsang village is one of the villages that's located in the boundary of Sembilang National Park, and we provide some education there to make sure that they will not, they always will protect natural forests left there in the national park, and included the mangrove protection as well. It's not only education in terms of conservation, we also include the wash, how they can also have a water access, sanitation, and hygiene. Because of, we think that this Sungsang village is a potentially to be a tourism village, because of in that village we can see the beauty of the Sembilang National Park, where the transit birds every, I think twice a year in Sembilang Park. So that's the end game basically, that we are willing to make this Sungsang village as a tourism village. And we work with other partner, University Trisakti from Pariwisata. And I think in 2018, this Sembilang Park designated by UNESCO as a one of biosphere reserve. Next, what is the challenges, I mean, during the implementation and lesson learned? Of course, I think from yesterday we discussed about the lack of the access to the markets, because of usually because of the infrastructure is not really established from their village to go to the to get logistic, especially in terms if we consider for the product price, it's difficult to the to get access to get more price, and also the product quality in terms of producing to provide more value added in their product. And of course also access to the capital, because of related to the number 1 and number 2, and number 4, like I said, infrastructure is very limited, and become they have to sell to the middleman as a collectors to bought their product. So the potential solution that of course we right now find any private sector maybe related to the community product on how they can also accept the product from the villages itself, of course with the special price, and willing to improve the capacity of the community itself, and how we can shorten the supply chain from the community go to the direct market, not through the middleman. So this is something that I can say that we need a lot of partners to help, especially to assist the community on the ground directly, because of to encourage them to be part of the especially peatland usually community wants to see the sample, the success story that they're willing to learn to get directly benefit. It's difficult to only show them like a theory that, but they need somebody to really show how to do, how to sell the product, how to improve the quality. So this is something that from APP, especially if we some of the villages, if they produce product is not directly linked with our industry, especially. So that's why we need a lot of partner, not only from the CSO, but yeah, private sector and also other institutions that may help to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Alim. A couple of things that I think interesting to be noted. The fact that you work together with communities, helping them when it comes to nursery, livelihood, but also, as you mentioned correctly, exploring and facilitating the support for access to market, access to finance. Basically, finding good business model or good investment model would be key to address challenges of managing peatland linking to communities. I think, I suspect there will be plenty of questions related to that. If not, I will provide my own question to you. And but before I continue to Danny, I just want to inform other participants, if you got friends who want to join this conversation but not being able to join via Zoom, you can access, or they can access this discussion via Facebook Live. I think the link is already posted in the chat room. So thank you again, Ibu Alim. We will come back to you and also to Pak Nyoman, but now offer to Danny, the youngest of all of this panelists. Danny, please, what sort of things that you want to share when it comes to community-based peat forest management, and how this community can help or lead to, a better protection and management of peat? Over to you, Danny. 10 minutes.
Well, thank you, Pak Fitrian. Yes, I'm the youngest panelist for today. And ladies and gentlemen, greeting for all distinguished speakers and participants for today. Today I will talk about Padang Tikar Village Forest, a community initiative for peat management. So this is one of the business case that we have involved in the development, which of course peat is one of the in the process. So this project, I give you background. So this project involved a lot of parties, including IDH and led by Sampan. So the role of us, Bentang Kalimantan, is to help the conversation so they could have a sustainable funding mechanism to fund their activity. So before entering the point of the presentation, in this case, I will say that we still have a long way to success. Yeah. So I think this is part of the learning session that we hope we could also receive input from all of the colleagues who participate in webinar for our future work. So in terms of peat management in this project, I think we have identified the critical challenge and strategy. Yeah? These are the crucial aspect as a baseline on how we develop our village forest management strategy. One of the challenge aspect that we identified is deforestation and deforestation factors that at least caused by 4 issues. The first, forest and land fires, and then second, illegal logging, and then community plantation and agriculture expansion, which also followed by the canal development. And the last one is about social infrastructure development. So according to the challenge, we developed 4 main strategies. The first is protection in the forest area and restoration at degraded peat area, and then optimizing existing peat products, yeah, coconut, coffee, etc., and then improve product diversification. And the last one is about economic generating activity at other areas. Yeah. Fortunately, the project area that we have not only Peat existed, so actually it gives us option, especially commodities that we should develop, we can develop. Next slide, please. So according to those challenges and strategies, we have developed a business model with the community. So this is kind of a bit overview of the project area. So this island, so the village forest exists inside the island for 35,000 hectares, owned by 10 villages. Yeah, owned by 10 villages, and 90% of the area are protected forests, while the rest is production. So if we could see the dark light is a protected forest. And forest cover is about 72%. Yeah. Forest cover. Mangrove, we have mangrove. We have a complete forest type ecosystem in here, mangrove, peat, and also minerals. Yeah. So the rest is non-forested area. And because we talking about it, yeah, so 68% of this village forest area part of Peat hydrological unit, yeah, PHU. Yeah. So considering the vast area of the peat in this island, we also put special attention to the peat. Yeah. Next slide, please. So in this village forest, at least we have three aspects that we implement. Yeah, the first is the protection aspect, and then the second one is at the production, and then the third one is inclusion. Yeah. So this is kind of our target within the village forest. So the protection aspect, we try to protecting the 72 of forested area within the conservation, and then restoration of the degraded land, and then production is how we develop business model that can reach the wider communities, and then inclusion aspect, establishing independent village forest institution. So if you look at the right, we could see that the diagram. So this is how we run the model from down until upstream. Yeah? So it describes how we connect the production and protection activity at the field level. But yeah, this model is also transforming each year. It depends on the community needs. Until now, we still have a few schemes in this model, the diagram that has not been implemented. So yeah, still going on. Next slide, please. So this is our journey. So this is our journey. I would say that since this project began, there were a lot of activity that we have conducted since 2014. Yeah, 2014 permit proposed by to Ministry of Environment and Forestry using landscape. I would say that this village forest is the first village forest that adopted landscape management, where 10 villages united as one. So this is, I think, will be a good model if we could develop a landscape-based peat management. So I also invited NSA to also involve in this project. This is a really good model landscape management. But unfortunately, in 2010, a huge forest fire happened in the forest. So it's about 6,000 hectares burned inside the village forest concession. And 2016, after the huge fires, protection and restoration activity started. Yeah, canal blocks, well rehabilitation, and then followed by fire equipment, and then training, pilot, alternative economic, 3R, restoration, rehabilitation, and revitalization that we conducted in 2016. we also saw that in 2016 that the spirit and awareness to protect and restore it were increased within the community. At least we see two aspects. The first, a lot of their productive land were burned and they suffered from income loss, coconut, coffee, etc. And then the second one is access to clean water was really hard at the time. They really depend on peat water at the same time, they could not depend on rainwater for people. Yeah. So for those three, you could see a high community number involved in the restoration activity since then. So continue in 2017, permit granted by the ministry, and since 2017 also protection, restoration, and appellate economic development activities continue. 2000
and then you got 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
2009, so more commodities reach, and then investment with advanced visit and investment plan. So if you could see the table below, so I forgot something. In 2019, our business model can receive 1.1 million soft loan. The first batch out of 6 million soft loan. So this is something that we developed, business model that could investable in the village forest. So if you look at our journey, however, we have a good impact, especially for our forest cover. So if you could see the line below, we, at least for issue that I could share, the first, our intervention has successfully reduced the deforestation against its baseline. So 2014, 2017, we see that the number of deforestation had increased very high, mostly due to forest fire. Even in 2016, 2017, the deforestation rate was higher against the baseline, but started in 2017, the community could reduce its deforestation and maintain its excellent performance until 2020. So I will say this is an achievement that should be appreciated. However, we also need to think about the incentive for them in the future, because social and economic situation are very dynamic in the field, and cost for protection to protect the forest is high and costly, of course. A lot of aspects need to be done and designed to ensure the sustainability of the peat. But if you see also in the column chart, it shows also that we should work more on peat, as the highest rate for deforestation occurred in peat, and forest fire is the main driver. So next slide, please. Overall, in terms of forest protection, I will say it is a good achievement, but honestly, in terms of restoration activity, struggle to reducing the fire still continues, because if you can see the reduction since 2015, but in 2019, the number of forest fires were increased to 5,000 hectares. However, it caused deforestation only 4%, while the rest, 96%, were recurred fires shown in the pie diagram. So we could also see in the map that it's really scary, because as the land fire circling the forest fire, so potential for deforestation is really high if we focus only on protection and give less attention to the restoration. So in the bottom right, we also see that the most of the deforestation brought by forest fire. It also shows us that we could actually maintain the positive impact for deforestation if we could solve this fire issue. Next slide, please. And as the conclusion, there are at least 5 key messages that I would say in this opportunity based on our experience. The first one is sustainability of funding for protection and restoration. So in case of our village forest, the cost is high because lots of area need to be covered by protection activity, and we have limited resources to do that, as well as restoration. So I would say that we still have a problem related to insufficient funding for protection and restoration activity. And the second one is protection, restoration, and economic activity need to be proportionally implemented. So the previous trend show us that consistency for protection and restoration is essential. So in this case, honestly, after 2018, economic activity implemented more, yeah, compared to restoration activity. And the third one is about fire infrastructure support. So it is difficult already to access the fire spot. In this case, village forest case, more difficult because the access to the island only by water. Yeah? So that's why water bombing is always the first option to mitigate the fire. And then community is about community awareness, how we manage the control burning in the village level, and technology for land clearing without burning. So this is also about knowledge gap. We could see that technology application as a long-term solution is yet to be widely implemented. And this one, as a long-term solution that I would say that this is the thing that we need to work in the future is water management, because we haven't focused on this since the beginning. So I think that's all for my presentation today. I hope the presentation will give valuable information for our webinar. And lastly, suggestion, input, also question are open. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much. I think you brought a very challenging remark at the end of the presentations that cost of protections for peatland or cost of management or sustainable management of peatland is high. So how can we address that? Sustainable funding or sustainable financing would be or should be the key. I think now it's question and answers. I got one questions to kick off, and then there's another question as well following up. The first question is from Tami. What she asks is about the best industry practice for a no-pit commitment. How can we, address this no-pit commitment, and how can we compare the practices of the industries from the past, currently, and also in the future? Because it's about best industry practice, it would be lovely if we can kick off the answering sessions with Ibu Elin, perhaps. Ibu Elin, would you be willing to, kick off answering or responding to this? Please go.
Okay, thank you, Vitrian. Yeah, thank you for the question, Tami. So your question, yeah, how we can implement this no pit in our industry? I think since 2013, we already did moratorium, no more new development. And of course, some of the pit already cultivated before. And together or supported by Minister of Environment, we submitted all the data analysis based on the LiDAR, and we define which critical pit dome that need to be conserved. So it means that after we harvest, we no longer to develop acacia in that area. So of course, by following the plan within the next 10 years, we will, once the block harvesting to be there, and we harvest, and we have to conserve. And how to also, I think in your question also, how we can measure or know that until which part that we can say that this already achieved best practice. So I think yesterday we discussed there is a reminding from Pak Budi from BRG that three aspects that we need to pay attention related to the peatland. So climate, water, and vegetation. So that's something we also from APP. Right now, we put in our vision that climate is how we contribute or reduce carbon emission in our supply chain. And related to the water in our production, we also monitor to make sure that using water in our production with the certain threshold. and also to make sure that water management within the peatland in the forestry itself also being maintained in the peat dome, in also in the production area. And vegetation, of course, like I said, yeah, some in the retired area, we also keep monitoring how can vegetation coming back. So that's why involving scientists or research to do continue research on that landscape, several landscape, to find the right methodology. Because of, we found that rewetting not the only one strategy, but how we can get back the natural vegetation coming back. So that's something that still question because of we also, like Pak Denny said, we also have to consider the economic aspect, because we cannot only, for example, in the Kerumutan now rewetting already 100% rewet, but is it economy intervention already there? I can say no. So in the South Sumatra, yes, vegetation already coming back, but we still want to find what kind of vegetation, the right vegetation, what kind of vegetation that can involve community and can give benefit back to the community. So that's something still question. I agree with Pak Denny that this is something that long-term research and solution that we need to have together a contribution to have a continuous improvement. Thank you. Hope answer you.
Thank you, Elim. I have also another questions that perhaps can be followed by Pak Nyoman from Jessica, especially on the alternatives for food and mechanism for growing food. Should communities living near peatland implementing such program in order to reduce environmental degradations? So, Pak Nyoman, what sort of ideas that you got an experience when it comes to providing a system or mechanism for growing food for communities around or living in the surrounding peatland? Please, Pak Nyoman.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, actually, we did a kind of business model development, yeah, in Meranti district, Riau. So it was a very interesting finding. Actually, currently during the corona outbreaks, Indonesia might have a big issues regarding the food crisis, yeah, especially when it is related with the food imported from outside. For example, like corn. We imported corn from Brazil and also from Argentina, and also the soybean, also wheat. So what happened? I mean, if those countries, especially Brazil and Argentina, doesn't want to export the corn because of the crisis, and then we have to consider the other alternative. So this alternative, we already did some kind of assessment in Meranti. It is on how to use sagu. We call it sapuring. Sagu is a kind of sagu kering, ya, integrated sagu kering. Jadi sagu yang diparut kering. So actually, peatland, I mean wetlands, as we experienced during the Suharto regime, where the agriculture development in the peatland area in Central Kalimantan were failed, and then we have to think about the other alternative, especially when all countries, yeah, currently being suffered because of the corona. So the sagu kering actually can, I mean, replace the corn as a fodder for the chicken and for the duck. That's one issue, yeah, because we have to diversify, yeah, the food kind of supply for the Indonesian. But if it is related to the peatland, we have to be very, very careful, yeah, because as I mentioned earlier, it is a very fragile ecosystem, yeah, and hardly that you can plant if the area is already severely inundated, yeah. The second issue is about the protein. So as I mentioned earlier, the fisheries. Currently, we are trying to work with the people in North Sumatra. We prepared the fish larvae, yeah, in the, let's say, tarpaulin ponds, and then from the tarpaulin ponds, we would like to mobilize it into the block canals. But of course, there are a lot of concerns that we need to consider. especially related the existence of the water, the permanent water in the canal, because even though you already block the canal, like also mentioned into yesterday, as I mentioned to Ellen, yeah, in IPP area in Jambi and Sungai Buloh, even though the canals already blocked, I mean, in the dry season, the water cannot guarantee will be there. So it is again a very big challenge regarding the food kind of productivities in the peatland area. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman. There's a question to Denny, Pak Denny, from Ruben, TRCRC, People for Peat. Denny,
Yes.
Can you provide your response to this, because there are different economic opportunities from your cases or your model, working together with community-based peat. You provided example from coconut, honey, and crab, and then crab income recently has been affected. So is there any opportunity to increase such alternatives for providing income for community? And of course, Ruben mentions that it was good to have reduction in deforestation over the years. But of course, in the future, because of COVID and different type of challenges, it will be much more difficult addressing deforestation. And also you mentioned about addressing fires. How can you ensure there is a safeguard or there's a support to also address such challenges? So one is on income and livelihood, another one is on addressing deforestation in the future.
Yes, Pak Fitrian, thank you. So, in terms of potential economic opportunities, I would say a lot of commodities, yeah, instead of coconut, honey, and crab that we can develop in the area. But the challenge for us is how we develop the business model, because within the commodities that we want to work with, so we should have like who is the buyer, and then with the investor, and sort of like that. So we have a lot of requirement, or what is that, the things that we need to consider in developing the business. But it was not mean that we don't have business instead of coconut, honey, and crab. We still have, for instance, coffee, and then other business, but it's really small in scale. These three commodities is, I would say that it's large in scale, because the production is, we're talking about tons of production. So this is the top three that we work with on. So in terms of deforestation, yes, we have. In our data, until June 2020, we see massive reduction of the deforestation. I think it's only around 17 hectares of deforestation during 2020. So I think that because of the economic activity was closed, and then also with the logging activity and forest fire, so the deforestation rate is very increasingly going down. Yeah.
Thank you, Denny. We got quite a number of questions now, and I think I can share this to each individual panelist. But perhaps starting with Pak Nyoman, there are plenty of questions to you, Pak Nyoman. The first one is about cultivating with the system of paludiculture, of course. How this could be combined with the native trees like Jelutung, Ramin, and how can this also be implemented with other commodities, the commercial one like coconut, coffee, and others. And I think you can also answer directly. Oh, that was the question. Oh, that is a question from Anuri Sisilam. We can combine this question with a question coming from Negla and also Alex. Negla from APP and Alex Evan about the aquaculture. How can the model that you mentioned can also support the sustainable aquaculture in the peatland, and what sort of support and what sort of infrastructure can be provided for community to harvest and develop it in cost-effective way? Pak Nyoman, please.
Okay, so thank you for the question, which I think it's not easy to answer, yeah, even though I'm part of the Political Forum, yeah. This is a very complicated issues regarding the politiculture in the peatland area. You know why? Because it is very correct. We have to also consider the market. I mean, if people already planting the jelutong or ramen, whatever, yeah, the market is very important. Not only that, but also the short-term income for the people. I mean, if they planted jelutong, maybe it takes about 6 years to harvest, yeah, and also maybe ramen, even decades to be harvested, yeah. So I have another opinion regarding this polyculture, but from the other perception, it is not only sago. Sago, of course, will be the most promising. Yeah, why? Because sago is a wetland species. Yeah, the Indonesian government already installed the mills for sago in West Papua. Yeah, in district of Kais, yeah, it's a big mill. I think one of the largest sago mills already constructed. I think a couple of 3 years ago. Yeah, but unfortunately, this mill is not yet operating properly, optimally. Yeah, and the second one, the largest mill, mostly located in Meranti Island. So sago is, of course, is promising. Why? Because it's wetland species. It can be also used as a fodder for the cattle, for the chicken, ducks, whatever. While the other countries like Argentina and Brazil, they cannot export it, the corns. Yeah. But of course, I was thinking about using the purun. Purun is a grass. It's a indigenous grass species in the peatland area. Because in Europe, I'm sure many buildings, the roofing system, they were using grasses. Yeah. And also in Bali, we are using the alang-alang. Yeah. Alang-alang is a line of grass, yeah, to cover our roof. It can last for decades. Because my house itself in Bali, we were using also the grass of the purun. I mean, purun, I would say it is a very easy to grow in the degraded peat because they can stay in the very acidic soil, even though the acidic sulfate is already oxidized, yeah. So what does it mean? If we can make use of the purun, because currently we are also, I mean, assisting the local NGOs in Oki, South Sumatra, on how to produce handicraft from the purun grass. But of course, the market value is not very good, and then also the demand is also very limited. But if you can use the purun grass as a building materials, because timbers is no longer available, they will be very interesting. That's the second opportunity. The third one that currently we are trying in North Sumatra, we are using the rattan, yeah, rattan, because rattan, you know, people can eat the rattan when it is still in the young stage, yeah, but also can be used as a furniture materials. So that's my answer from Anuri. And then the second one regarding the fisheries. So regarding the fisheries, regarding the infrastructure, this is a big, I mean, opportunity, I would say. But the problem is, we don't know whether the water in the peatland area, it is not contaminated by chemicals or it's still clean. Yeah, you know why? Because most of the oil palm concession, I would say the large companies, they were using pesticides. I've identified once at least 11 different types of pesticides being applied in the peatland. A few of them actually already banned by our government. Yeah, so this kind of contaminants in the water will very much affected the aquaculture business, because we experienced also in North Sumatra 2 months ago, almost 90% of our fish larvae were simply died. We don't know, is it because of the chemical contamination or it is because of the other things? We don't know exactly. So the second issue is also regarding these pesticides, because it will also the fume, will be going up to the air. So the major challenges with the aquaculture in the peatland area, it is how to ensure that the water, it is not contaminated by the chemicals which is used in the huge amount by the plantation. But in terms of the access to go to the area, I don't think it's a big issue, yeah? Because in areas, for example, like in Central Kalimantan, many local farmers, they were using a fish pond as a traps, what we call it the BJ pond. So this kind of fish pond located behind the house and then not far from the river, during the rainy season, the water will go up and then inundated the surrounding area with a lot of fishes. Yeah. So, and then when the water receded back to the river, especially at the end of the rainy season, many fish will be trapped in the pond, in the BJ pond. So the people can harvest it. I've recorded actually once almost 2 tons were trapped at one rainy season in the 500 meters of canal in central Kalimantan. So what does it mean? Fish is very promising, but again, the quality of the water is very important to consider. It is not only the infrastructure on how to go there, yeah, because currently the access, I would say, is not so difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman. I got another question again from Alex, but this is specifically on finance. As I think both Ibu Elin and Pak Nyoman, but also especially Pak Denny mentions about the need to connect to finance, sustainable finance, access to finance sector. Can each panelist share their view? Challenges and opportunity, or what sort of models, what sort of appetite, from the financial institution or finance sectors in investing in or in supporting sustainable use of peatland. Perhaps starting from Denny, and after that, Ibu Elin, please, Denny. Denny, you need to unmute yourself. Denny, can you hear me? Yes.
The connection is unstable. Can I pass to Ibu Elim or Pak Nyoman first? After that, I want to fix this issue first.
Okay, I will give it to Ibu Elim. I hope it's only the connection that is unstable, not yourself. Please, Ibu Elim.
Yeah, thank you, Fitren. So access to finance, I think, this is one of the challenges that not all financial institutions right now understand the situation on the ground. So like IDH, I think your organization already have lots of experience to understand the situation. So that's why you're willing to provide some funding to help community and also assist by local CSO. But like banks, I can say that they have not really flexible on that. And then the challenges that we found during the implementation work with the communities, this morning I already explained that in terms of capacity building, product market, with the sustainable market, I can say, because of usually the end user or the industry even ask for the specific quality before they buying the product, which is not matched with the community capacity right now. So that's why how to match this market. So because the banks wait for that. When the products meet with the market requirement, then they confident to provide financial to community. So that's something, the challenges that I can say we face. Right now, APP basically provide, since 2015 through our program, we allocate $10 million as a seed funding to the community to start their agriculture in its villages. So, but I think that's not enough, because of our seed funding basically just want to trigger communities how to start with the sustainable best practice on doing agriculture, but continue to produce the product to meet the quality of the market requirement. That's something that we need to, of course, involve other parties to be part of. And not only that, in terms of improving capacity of the community itself to running their organization, running their, I can say, business to become entrepreneur, that's also one challenges on how to change their mindset. Become entrepreneur is not easy. I mean, they have to ready to face, for example, to face the nature. Sometimes they can fail in terms of harvest. So that's something how to manage that we should make community ready on that, to choose the right commodity or the right species. So a lot of still challenges. I can say this is a journey. Of course, we expect from the banks or the financial institution can provide funding that maybe different indicators with other business that if they provide a loan. So that's my comment on the financial access.
Thank you, Ibu Ellen. I think the role of a private sector company like you would be so crucial because the banks, like you just mentioned, perceive investing in communities as still high risk. And if companies or NGOs like Sampan or Bentang Kalimantan or Wetlands International or others do not help in terms of maturing the communities and community organizations as a good business model or business entity, it will be difficult for them to get support from the bank. But I think I would love to hear from Denny. Pak Denny, are you?
Yes,
okay, good.
Yeah, so talking about the access to finance, yes, yeah, the challenge is how we develop a robust business model and sustainable business model. Yeah. And we have experience in the village forest where we access like $5 million and now $1.1 million have been installed to the business unit. It's about 2-3 business unit, yeah. One honey and 2 crab. And now honey is already the loan is already paid off, but the crab is already 2, and then payment.
I think we're losing you.
This access to finance is yes. Hello.
No, it's okay.
Hello?
Now. It's okay. Please continue.
Hello.
Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So the first thing is how we develop the model of business at scale, at middle and or large, because financial institution will not accept if the scale of the business is at a low scale. The problem is we also should, because the model business for village forest is collective business. So the scheme in the bank is individual basis. So it's different things. So we should have a financial institution that can manage for collective credit or something like that. And the second aspect as a challenge is how we prepare the vehicle, the business unit at the community, and then also the supporting vehicle for the business unit. Because and this vehicle, we also need to how we can improve the aspect, for instance, bankable vehicle. So that's the challenge, because based on our experience, if there is no IDH in the process, the creditor will not be the proposal will not be passed, because IDH at the time act as a guarantor. IDH give money to as a funding for facilitate the business unit to improve their capacity and then to link the market, and etc. So it comes to blended finance, the model. So that's the last challenge. How we develop and we search guarantor, facilitator to help the business model, and also buyer as an important aspect, because if we don't have a buyer, so the business model will not work well.
Thank you, Denny. I think we got 2 or 3 last questions, maybe 2 questions directly to Pak Nyoman, and after that we can wrap it up and ask each individual panelist to reflect or provide their own reflections. Pak Nyoman, this is a question from Nino from the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. So he asks whether there are good practices that you found or you experienced that can be recommended to be replicated in other places, including in the southern part of the Philippines. And how do you reckon the national, regional, and local policy can support such initiatives? And a last from him as well, that what sort of things that we can do to combine efforts to support the growing of the native vegetables or crops in such areas compared to different commodities. So, Pak Nyoman, that will be a question to you. Please, Pak Nyoman.
Yeah, thank you, Mas Secretary. I saw there are 3 questions here, very interesting question actually. Yeah. The first one, it is about the good practice. Yeah. Maybe I should also inform you, our colleagues from Philippines, because in Indonesia, the terms of 3R, yeah, R number 1, it is related with the rewetting. So what does it mean? Is to block the canals, yeah, because we have big numbers of canals in Indonesia that we have to rewet the peatland by blocking the canals. That's R number 1. R number 2, to revegetate it. I mean, to rehabilitate using the native species, if possible, yeah. That's R number 2. R number 3 is to revitalize. That is something related with the community empowerment. So these 3 are being promoted by the Peatland Restoration Agency since the last 3 years or 4. Yeah. So that's the concept. It is very important to understand from the beginning, because the peatland, it is not a mineral soil. So before we go further with the revegetation, so we have to rewet the area at first, because without doing the rewetting, any seedlings that we planted maybe during the dry season will be easily dying out. Yeah, and even during the wet season can be easily inundated and also dying out. Yeah, the third one regarding the 3R, the third R, that's the revitalization of the community, that we need to involve the community, yeah, from the beginning of the project. So the 3R should be integrated at once, yeah. So with the priority of the rewetting and the revegetation and the community participation. So regarding the policy support, actually, as you mentioned here, we have the 3 levels of government policies. We have the laws, we have the government regulations, we have also the, let's say, provincial governor regulation, also with the district government regulation. So there are so many regulations, I would say. Even our president already fed up with these too many regulations, because the issue is, it is not about how to regulate, but it is how to implement, yeah, and how to also to empower, to enforce the regulation, yeah. So in terms of the community perceptions regarding the regulation, I would say not only the community, even the local government, I'm not quite sure if they are really aware regarding the policies which is already issued by the national government. Yeah, let's put this way. I went to a few part of the peatland area, and because of the oil palm booming, yeah, many land already burned because it is converted into the oil palm plantation. Not only by the private sectors, but it is also by the community. So because of this booming, so at the end, I mean, the community don't have enough capital to develop, and then at the end they just simply neglected the plantation. Yeah. So this is the major issues actually. I mean, even though the community doesn't really understand the policy, but because of the attracting factors, of the pulling factors of the oil palm, we cannot actually stop what they really wanted. For example, in our works in North Sumatra in the Peatland area, it takes 6 months for us just to socialize, to educate the people, yeah, regarding how fragile peatland is. Yeah. So what regulation already developed by our government. Yeah. So, and then you know what happened? We spent 6 months to convey the FPIC, the the Padiatapa, we call prior informed consent. Yeah, 6 months to socialize our projects, and at the end, yesterday we found the peatland were burnt, but we don't know who actually created the fire. Is it the community, or is it because the fire from the outside of the village? We don't know. So that is the major challenges regarding how to work with the people in the villages. Yeah. So the second question, it is about the, it's not only sago, or puran, or rattan. Yeah. How about the fish aquaculture? This is what my dream, the future dream. If the peat material already gone, we cannot maintain the materials to be staying in that area. The trees already gone, and then the only water remaining. So what does it mean? Indonesia could be the largest country that can produce fish, can produce aquaculture. Yeah, but the problem is because the water is already contaminated. I'm sure, pretty sure, the water will be contaminated. And then this, we need to treat it, the water, maybe we have to wash away all the contaminated waters out of the ecosystem and then start to do this kind of businesses. Yeah. But of course, we don't want actually, we lose our peat because peat also has a significant values in terms of the carbon stock. Yeah. But of course, what is the alternative? Because we cannot plant paludiculture if the area already inundated quite severely and also permanently. So the only business that we can do in such particular ecosystem, which is aquatic ecosystem, it is aquaculture. But we need to treat the water before going to that kind of project. Last but not least, regarding the vegetables, actually in our projects in Riau, also in Jambi, also in Central Kalimantan, yeah. So we did a lot of experiment. If you are interested, I can send you a book that I developed a long time ago, but unfortunately it's written in Bahasa Indonesia. We identify a lot of vegetables, for example, like okra. Okra being planted in Riau, exported to Singapore. Why? Because it has a very good value, yeah, price, and also the market is there. So that easily can market it to Singapore. Yeah, but of course, vegetables, it is not only vegetables, but it also fruits. Yeah, there are quite a few fruits that can be planted in the peatland. But again, if we are too late, if the area already severely inundated by water, forget about this all businesses. Yeah, even though with the polycultural species, because water here is a very crucial to consider. Yeah, once the area already inundated because the peat already subsidized, oxidized, and then gone, and the remaining is only water. It's only fish can live, nothing else. Yeah, so that's why I mean, polyculture, it is something good to say, but we have to do it in the right time. If we are too late, forget it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman. I think we have limited amount of time. Plenty of questions need to be answered, but maybe not all. I would love to give the floor to Danny, and after that, Ibu Elim. Danny, there are questions to you. It's from, I think it's from Pak Andri Satya, yeah, related to the response, the long-term management of fires. How can you combine with fire prevention, short-term and also long-term pit management, wetting and stuff like that. But before going to you, perhaps also Ibu Elim later on, after Danny, can also respond to the 3R that Nyoman mentioned, because most of the time we understand the 3R like reduce, reuse, recycle, but now we got rewetting, revegetation, and revitalizations, which is quite important, in which it's not only going to be important for Indonesia, but also many different countries in Southeast Asia. We got only 2 minutes overall, so Danny, quickly on that fires, and then 3R for Ibu Elim. Danny, over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Pak Fitrian. Yeah, so of course we have a short, middle, long-term solution for the restoration and protection forests in the island. So one of the water management is things really important. As a lot of canals existed in the island and also at the neighboring palm oil concession. So why this peat water management is important? One interesting case also happened in our neighboring pulp and paper concession. They managed to zero fire in 2019 as they have advanced peat water management in their concession. But the future problem is how we apply it in the community area, in the concession area, in the village forest area, because agriculture and then private sector have a lot of resources, but in community, yes, we have limited resources, and I would say this is something that we need to adopt in the future further development.
Thank you, Denny, Ibu Elin. Some last remarks for this one, especially linking to the 3R that Pak Nyoman mentions. I think it's quite crucial for a big company like yours to have that kind of good strategy in addressing rewetting, revegetation, and revitalizations. Please, Ibu Elin.
Okay.
I think you're freezing. Can you hear me, Ibu Elin?
Thank you, Pak Peatland. So
Yeah,
I think,
please.
yeah, rewetting, I agree. Also, still a retired area in Riau and okay. Can you hear me now? So I will explain about the rewetting. So agree. Before, yeah, we also believe that the first, of course, we have to do rewetting. What we did in 2000. When we retired to area within the landscape, and then to do the second to do revegetation. That's something that right now become a question, and like Nyoman said, sometimes yeah, in I don't know, maybe because of we have a different climate in Indonesia. I'm quite not directly 100% agree with Pak Nyoman saying that when we in the dry pit, the seedling directly die, because what we found in those two areas, in the rewetting area, yes, the water level is 0 centimeter in the surface, but no, the revegetation is very minimum. Different with the other area, the rewetting is not 100% zero, but some revegetation coming back. So that's something that we want to understand more. What kind of situation to do the this approach. The scientists or approach right now want to make several sample to see how the revegetation more effectively coming back like what we expect. Because of course, after the revegetation coming back, then we can go to the revitalization. Of course, to also select what kind of species that need to be there, so can also bring benefit to the communities around the area. So that's something. Of course, when the rewetting as well, we have to consider the logistic on how we can access to the area, because of course we can use both, but in terms of cost, if the area want to be used for the community, they have to consider on how they can do logistic for the product and how they can do some intervention there without damaging the peatland itself. That's my comment for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Elin. With that, I think we need to wrap it up. And before I give it back to Joe from TRCRC, I just have some notes that I want to share. First, of course, again, very much a pleasure to have heard about the experience, lesson learned, models from Wetlands International, from ATP, and from Bentang Kalimantan. I think these are just few examples, but good examples that we need to push it forward in the development of the business model that can link to the market and to the finance, because like the panelists mentioned, protections and sustainable management of peatlands are costly. And we have to be able to show that it's not going only to be providing good support for communities in terms of protections and sustainable management, but also in terms of their livelihood. So the collaborations between the private sector, the communities, and NGOs is crucial, addressing this kind of improved productivity, protection, inclusions. But more importantly, these models need to be able to be replicated not only in Indonesia, across Indonesia, but also in some other areas in Southeast Asia. We have heard from the participants the request coming from the Philippines and others to ask for sharing for this kind of model. I think Pak Nyoman, Ibu Elim, and Denny, they would be more than willing to share that kind of models and lessons learned in the future. Again, thank you so much. Appreciations highly give it. I would like to say, to you, the three of the panelists. Without you, we cannot discuss this important lessons and model so rich. I would love also to thank all the three organizations that making this happen. WRI, TRCRC, and of course IDH, with the support of EU and ASEAN. So with that, I would love to give it the floor to Joe. Joe, please, over to you. And last but not least, sorry, thank you so much for all the participants. I know that you also have a good experience and also good knowledge. Thank you for your question and also for your attentions. Joe, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for moderating so professionally, Fitrian, and want to say a big thanks to our three presenters as well. Quite an eye-opening session for me, and thanks for the participants as well for paying attention and asking good questions. So this now we want to just have share our social media here as well. So please follow us on social media, for whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can sign up to our mailing list as well to get the latest updates. And please also do join us for our next webinar focusing on peatland management in Malaysia. That will be happening on the 3rd of September. So thank you, everybody. I hope to see you all again soon when we have our next webinar. And do keep in touch, because we don't want to have one of those mountaintop experiences and then from here we never hear it from each other again. So let's keep in touch. Do use our social media to stay active with us, so that we can also make you all informed of our latest events coming up as well. Thanks everyone. I think that will be all for today. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you everyone. Enjoy your lunch. And take care.